Hi, Luke Lango here, America's #1 stock picker, and I'm here in Silicon Valley, the technology capital of the world, to show you the second best way to get rich in America. Now you might be wondering, why the second best way and not the first? Well, you already know the best way to make a ton of money, and that's to start your own successful business. The Fortune 500 list is full of people that started a successful business. Starting business is how Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk became billionaires many times over. And when you look at the stock returns of those guys, it's obvious why they are worth so much. Shares of Jeff Bezos' firm Amazon are up as much as 1,900-fold since the company's IPO. Shares of Elon Musk's Tesla are up as much as 188-fold since the company's IPO. And shares of Bill Gates' Microsoft are up as much as an incredible 2,250-fold since the company's IPO. That kind of performance turns a small stake of $2,000 into more than $4 million. And it turns a $15,000 stake into $33 million. But let's face it, most folks don't have the time to start a business. Most folks just don't want the stress and risk that comes with it. That's why it's so important for you to know the second best way to make a lot of money in America. And that's financially backing the kinds of people I just mentioned. It's by investing in the next Jeff Bezos, the next Bill Gates, and the next Elon Musk, while their businesses are still small and unknown. In other words, become an early stage business investor. Invest in people who've got a great idea and who are ready and willing to start and grow that idea into a hugely successful business. If you've been following the business world for a while, you know how backing an entrepreneur in the early days can generate life-changing wealth. It happens all the time in this town. But the key is to find them when they are still small and off the radar of most investors. Finding those opportunities is what I excel at. Let me show you what I mean. Follow me. We're here in the heart of Silicon Valley, outside the headquarters of a company called CHGG. Now, you've probably never heard of this company before. Most people haven't. Remember, that's a good thing. CHGG helps college students save a fortune by offering textbooks online. If you know anything about college textbooks, you know how crazy expensive they can be. Well, CHGG was founded by 3 college buddies who were sick of paying an arm and a leg for overpriced textbooks. When I first learned about this company and the network of colleges and universities they were hooking up with, I knew it was going to be big. I knew that students and families would flock to use its service. I recommended buying shares when they were just $4 a piece. Shares have since exploded to as high as $93, giving the folks who acted on my recommendation and held on the chance to make more than 21 times their money. Today, CHGG is one of the leading online textbook companies in America. It's an incredible success story, and my readers had the opportunity to become early investors before the business took off like a rocket ship. And this is just one example. Let's check out another one. Here we are at the headquarters of another young company called Shopify. Shopify was founded by 3 computer programmers who wanted to start their own online snowboarding store. But these guys quickly realized the platform they created was way more valuable helping other people start their own business. It's been a massive hit with customers. Since I recommended it, shares have soared as much as 13-fold. That's 13 times your money. That's incredible, isn't it? Here, let's check out another one. We're here at the offices of another amazing young startup, an electric car maker called NIO. Now, you've probably noticed all the companies jumping into the electric vehicle space lately, and for good reason. The shift to electric vehicles will be one of the biggest and most important trends of our lifetimes. NIO is a brand new player most Americans probably haven't heard about yet, but my contacts here in the Valley say this company is a force to be reckoned with. I'm even hearing expressions like the next Tesla when they describe how big it's going to be. When you see the people behind this company and the technology they have, it's easy to see why. I recommended it back when shares were trading for just $1.94, less than $2. Shares recently hit $55. That's an amazing 28 times your money. That turns a small $2,000 stake into $56,000, or $5,000 into $140,000. Look, if you have an idea for your own business, or you have dreams of one day starting your own, I think that's fantastic. That's the American dream, right? But let's be honest, it's not for everybody. If you don't want to deal with all the work, stress, and time that comes with starting a business, but still reap all the fantastic financial benefits, then the second best way to get rich in America might actually be the best way for you. Because behind every Elon Musk, Bill Gates, behind every Jeff Bezos is a crowd of early investors who got rich right alongside them. Like I said, I'm an expert at finding these types of early stage opportunities. Today, I'm going to show you some of my best secrets for cashing in on the next tech upstarts before they take off into the stratosphere. I'll even give you the name and ticker symbol of my #1 stock recommendation right now. You see, it's no coincidence that nearly all of these incredible wealth-creating businesses call the same zip code home. The one I'm standing in right now, California's Silicon Valley, also known as startup heaven. I like to call it the money-making capital of the world. There's a reason there are more millionaires and billionaires inside this 17-mile radius than any place else on the planet. Silicon Valley is where all the smartest and most driven entrepreneurs come to turn the best ideas in the world into the best businesses in the world. This is where all the opportunities are, just over that hill there. That's where 20-year-old Steve Jobs founded Apple out of his parents' garage. Today, Apple is a $2.2 trillion company. Early backers made more than 900 times their money. Just a $5,000 stake turned into $4.5 million. Just over there is where Stanford students Sergey Brin and Larry Page wrote their first internet search algorithm, called Backrub. But you know it by its current name, Google. Today, Google is a $1.1 trillion giant. Early investors made more than 2,200 times their money, enough to turn every 5,000 into $11 million. Just over there is where entrepreneurs Mark Randolph and Reed Hastings started a movie rental service called Netflix. It's since grown into one of the world's leading internet entertainment platforms. Early Netflix investors made more than 438 times their money. And this is just the short list of life-changing opportunities that started right here. You've probably heard of eBay, the $35 billion e-commerce site. Well, that started right here too. In 1998, it was just a small startup. Early eBay backers saw more than 74 times their money. Silicon Valley is where 19-year-old Mark Zuckerberg came to turn a small startup called Facebook into a $766 billion social media giant. Folks who backed Facebook early on saw an incredible 250 times return. Ever heard of NVIDIA? This is the company that makes next-generation computer chips that are powering everything from 5G to the Internet of Things to driverless cars. Well, that was started right here too. Early backers of NVIDIA were rewarded with 350-fold returns. And these are just the examples you've heard of. We are literally surrounded by billion-dollar ideas. Silicon Valley is like a breeding ground for getting rich. More than 1,700 new millionaires are created in America every day. That's more than one every minute. And believe it or not, the rate of new millionaires being made is actually speeding up. If you want the chance to make a lot of money, if you want the chance to be one of America's next newly minted millionaires, you need to know what's happening right here. This is ground zero. There's probably no greater concentration of wealth and opportunities than right here. The question is, how can regular folks who are not Silicon Valley insiders learn about this incredible situation? That's exactly what I spent my entire career showing everyday folks how to do. Because I've been involved with the founding of numerous startups, and because I'm on the first name basis with top industry insiders, entrepreneurs, and venture capitalists, I can show you where the next big opportunities are. To prove it to you, I'm going to show you what I believe will be the next big Silicon Valley winner. Here, come with me. We're here at the headquarters of an amazing startup I recently found. It's an incredible company I can almost guarantee you've never heard of. It just recently went public, but is already generating lots of buzz here in the Valley. They've got a business that I'm certain everyone in America, me, you, our friends, our families, literally everyone will be using very soon. The incredible thing is, not 1 in 1,000 Americans has even heard of this company before. In fact, very few of the folks on Wall Street know about it either. This is, without a doubt, my #1 recommendation to buy today. But mark my words, it will not stay unknown for long. I'm going to give you all the details for free, right here in this presentation. There's no catch. I don't need your credit card info. I don't need your email address. All you have to do is stay tuned. And you could be one of the ones to back the next big Silicon Valley success story. I'm confident I can help you make a lot of money in the next few years with just this single investment opportunity. But before I tell you the name, ticker symbol, and other key details about this small startup, I first need to address the elephant in the room. Why so many tech stocks are soaring 5, 8, even 10 times in less than a few years. It's all happening because of the incredible wealth-building force taking over society. You've probably noticed it in recent years. Every aspect of our lives is getting disrupted by new technology. It's extraordinary, historic, revolutionary even. Every day, it seems like technology companies take over more and more of the American economy. Amazon has taken over retail. Uber has taken over cabs. Apple, our phones. Facebook, advertising. Tesla has taken over cars. Netflix, movies and TVs. Google has taken over data. Airbnb, hotels. LinkedIn and others have taken over job search and hiring. What's happening, in short, is that we are in the middle of moving from a paper-based analog world to a digital, computer-powered society. The things we value, the things we buy, the way we interact with each other are changing in a massive way, and we're never going back. This wide-scale disruption is enriching those who own and invest in these new technologies at a pace never seen before in human history. Now, what I'm about to say might sound controversial, but it's absolutely true. There's never been an easier time to build great wealth in America. You heard that right. Because of the stunning and rapid rise of new technological innovations, it's never been a better time to make a fortune in America than right now. Just look around you. In the past 12 months alone, early shareholders in a company called Fastly are up as much as 10x on their investment. A company called Jumia has shown early backers as much as 19x returns. A biotech startup called Mind Medicine is up as much as 20x. A company called BLNK is up an earth-shattering 36x. Again, all these gains happened in less than a year. The incredible thing is, the rate at which investors see these huge gains is only going to speed up, not slow down. That's right, this huge downpour of cash is only getting faster and more furious. How do I know? Because there's a secret behind this incredible change, which most people don't understand. When you learn this secret, you'll see why what has happened in recent years is nothing compared to what's coming next. It all boils down to something called the law of accelerating returns. The law of accelerating returns explains why our world is changing at an ever-increasing rate in ways most people can't even comprehend right now. why some companies are growing so quickly and making so much money so fast compared to how long it took years ago. And most importantly, if you understand it, this simple concept provides you with a roadmap for how you can take advantage of these opportunities. It's worth taking a quick second to understand what this is because it could have a massive impact on your wealth. You see, most things in life progress in a linear, step-by-step manner. Think a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, a toddler becoming a teenager. But technology is different. It doesn't advance like everything else. Instead, the speed of progress and the speed at which people adopt new technologies actually gets faster, quite dramatically, over time. In other words, technology progresses exponentially. That's because technology builds off each innovation that came before it. You've probably heard of Moore's Law. It's an observation made in the 1960s by Silicon Valley pioneer and Intel founder Gordon Moore. Moore said the number of transistors we could fit on a microchip would double every 2 years, which would rapidly boost computer power. Few people believed Moore, but he was exactly right, as you can see from this chart. Now, here's the critical point you must understand. Looking at this curve, you can see how the rate of technological progress actually got faster every year. What very few people understand is that the key ingredients of our modern, digitized, and computerized world are exploding in power and speed, and the cost is collapsing. Here's what this incredible change looks like in the real world. In the year 1996, it cost $46 million to buy a computer that could perform 1 trillion operations per second. By 2016, you could buy a computer that performed 8 times that many operations per second for just $400. In 1976, a digital camera weighed 4 pounds, cost $10,000, and only had 0.01 megapixels. Today's digital cameras have 1,000 times the megapixels, weigh 14 grams, and cost $10. In other words, they're a billion times better. The first commercial GPS unit weighed 50 pounds and cost over $100,000 back in 1981. Today, GPS comes on a 0.3 gram chip and costs less than $5. Exponential progress explains why the smartphone in your pocket is 1 million times faster than the computers that sent the first men to the moon. The point is, all the technologies around us are getting better, faster, and cheaper. And it's creating a gigantic shift in the way our economy works and how we build wealth. What's interesting is that it's not just the actual technology that increases exponentially in speed, power, and sophistication, but also the adoption of technology that increases exponentially too. In other words, the rate at which people begin using new technologies increases exponentially too. For example, it took 73 years for the telephone to gain full adoption, but only 15 years for the cell phone, and just 8 years for the smartphone. Incredible, isn't it? That's exponential progress. It took 30 years for the personal computer to reach peak adoption, but only 8 years for the tablet. It took the radio 23 years, but social media just 6. Do you see the big picture? Do you see what's happening here? The world around us is changing at never-before-seen speeds. The speed and capabilities of our computers are increasing at unfathomable rates. This is why the rate at which tech companies increase in value continues to speed up. Just consider, IBM is a 109-year-old company founded in 1911. But it didn't become a billion-dollar company until 1953, 42 years later. It took AT&T 48 years to reach the same milestone. But get this, it took Google, founded in 1998, just 8 years to reach a $1 billion market cap. By 2004, Facebook had done it in just 5 years. By 2009, Uber had done it in under 3 years. In 2012, virtual reality firm Oculus did it in under 2 years. Most recently, it took a young company called Jet.com just 4 months to become a billion-dollar company. That kind of growth was totally unheard of 40 years ago. These days, it's a regular occurrence. Even the speed at which these companies make money is accelerating. It took Netflix a decade to make its first $1 billion. Its most recent billion, just 31 days. Apple's latest billion took less than 2 days. As you can see, it's taking less and less time to generate incredible wealth. Never before have companies built such incredible wealth in such short time frames. But here's the thing. It's not all roses and sunshine. There's a serious dark side to all the technological progress we're seeing. On one hand, those who understand and embrace these changes are making money faster than ever before. On the other, folks are getting utterly demolished at the same incredible rate. The world, the stock market, is essentially ripping apart in two. Remember Blockbuster? It was doing $6 billion in annual revenue in 2004. But by 2010, they declared bankruptcy. Absolutely annihilated by Netflix. How about taxi cabs? That industry was devastated by Uber and Lyft. As these ride-sharing companies soared to billion-dollar valuations, the old taxi industry was demolished. It lost millions in revenue. When was the last time you were in a Kmart or a JCPenney? Amazon and others have moved so much of our shopping online, traditional retail operations are being devastated one after the other. In 2019 alone, a record 9,300 retail stores announced closures. Remember, that's before the coronavirus pandemic even hit. Because many of the businesses in the new economy leverage the incredible power of computers and technology, they simply don't need as many employees compared to before. Tens of thousands of people are losing their jobs as a result. Investors who own or back these outdated business models are getting crushed. This is a trend that is not going to reverse itself. Businesses, and even everyday people and investors, who don't understand these changes are getting wiped out. I bring this up not to frighten you, but to show you that this phenomenon has stunning real-world implications. If you're holding lots of slow-growth old stocks that grow at 6% per year, and your neighbor holds innovative tech firms growing at 100% plus per year, that's the unseen force of exponential progress at work. That's you falling behind. If you want the chance to make a fortune, you have to understand the rules of the new economy. That's why it's imperative that you stay ahead of these massive changes, or else risk getting left behind. That's why, to help you get started along the path to financial freedom in the new era, I want to share with you the name of the next tech startup, a detail several others just like it, set to take over the world. But before I do that, I know what you're probably thinking.
You're saying to yourself, Luke, what could someone like you possibly know about any of these things? I'm sure you've noticed. I'm pretty young. I'm 25 years old. This makes me young compared to many big-name financial analysts out there. And all the more surprising that I'm recognized as the #1 stock picker in America. And while old school investors might be skeptical of following financial advice from someone half their age, in this business, especially here in the Valley, in the startup capital of the world, youth isn't just a huge advantage, it's the advantage. When it comes to identifying brand new companies on the verge of hypergrowth, youth is actually an enormous asset. And decades of doing something one way is a huge liability. We've seen it again and again. Typically, world-changing innovations don't come from established companies like IBM or GE. Huge innovations almost always come from young startups. It's almost never the big, established companies that disrupt entire industries and make people wealthy in a short amount of time. Netflix wasn't invented by Blockbuster. Amazon wasn't invented by Barnes & Noble. YouTube wasn't invented by the TV networks. Uber wasn't invented by the taxi industry. It's almost always the small, new companies started by young risk takers that disrupt the status quo and make small groups of investors rich. Think about the age of most tech company founders. Mark Zuckerberg founded Facebook when he was 19. Bill Gates founded Microsoft when he was 23. Larry Page and Sergey Brin were both 23 when they founded Google. Jeff Bezos founded Amazon when he was 30. Steve Jobs founded Apple when he was 21. My point isn't to criticize the more experienced among us, only to show you that many of the greatest innovations of the past 50 years have come from people under 35. Because of their youth, these innovators don't have ties to the old ways of doing things. They don't have to stop and learn new paradigms. They grew up inside the new paradigms. They grew up alongside the cutting-edge technologies of the day, and their openness to brand new ideas makes them apt to start businesses around them. Young people are always the early adopters of new services and products like Uber, Twitter, Venmo, and Siri.
Here's a great example. People my age don't use cash anymore. In fact, we go out of our way to avoid businesses that are cash only. That's why I recommended digital payments company Square before it soared 12x. Or take Wayfair. My wife and I bought our first home 3 years ago. We both grew up in an era of digital commerce platforms. We didn't want to go shopping for furniture in a store. Half our stuff ended up being from Wayfair. As it turns out, we aren't the exception to the trend. We are representative of the new normal as my peers increasingly become homeowners. Folks who followed my recommendation got in on Wayfair before it soared more than 800%. That's why my age is a huge plus for anyone looking to make big money in the next Apple, the next Google, or the next Netflix. Just think about it. Who were people pounding the table on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies back in 2017 before they skyrocketed thousands of percent in value and made people overnight millionaires? I'll tell you who. It was young people. Back then, if someone was grunting that Bitcoin was some fad destined to fizzle out, chances are very good that the person was over 50 years old. Those folks were too set in their ways to give Bitcoin a good look. Sadly, their attachment to tradition caused them to miss out on millions of dollars in profits during one of the greatest booms of the past decade. Also, consider the incredible story of Salesforce.com. Today, Salesforce.com is a $200 billion giant of the software world. It's one of the pioneers of the revolutionary and hugely successful software as a service business model. Salesforce.com is also one of the greatest stock market winners of the past 2 decades. Since going public in 2004, shares are up more than 50-fold. Yet, during its spectacular run to the top, Salesforce.com was widely ridiculed by traditional stock analysts and fund managers. The company's detractors said the business model didn't make sense. They said the company couldn't sustain its awesome growth. They were dead wrong. Their ties to tradition made them miss one of the biggest wealth-building opportunities of the past 20 years. Or take solar energy stocks, some of the world's biggest wealth creators of the past 3 years. Most folks over the age of 50 grew up in a world where solar energy wasn't economical. It had to be subsidized by the government. But today's solar power has changed so much over the past decade that it's essentially a whole new industry. Thanks to stunning advances in computing power and material sciences, unsubsidized solar energy is now cheaper than fossil energy all over the US. Solar has plummeted to prices that the government did not expect to see until after 2050. Again, it's all because of exponential progress. As a result, solar companies are producing huge amounts of sales and profits, and their investors are making huge fortunes. Just look at these massive gains generated by solar companies in the past few years. Sunrun is up 12-fold, SolarEdge is up 22-fold, and Enphase Energy is up a stunning 72-fold. Unfortunately, many investors set in their ways totally missed out on these incredible gains. They fell behind while others made fortunes. Those people grew up in a world of linear thinking. Many of these folks are clinging to companies in old industries who are struggling to break even and often losing money. But what's needed now is exponential thinking. What I'm looking for are companies with the ability to achieve life-changing gains in less than 5 years, not 20 years or longer. That's the old way of investing. With technological progress picking up, there's simply too many incredible opportunities to wait a decade or more to see incredible gains. I want companies like Roku, which is up as much as 18-fold since 2017. Twilio, which is up as much as 13-fold since 2018. Digital Turbine, up as much as an incredible 26-fold since 2019.
Now listen up, because I'm going to let you in on a very big secret. If you want the chance to generate life-changing wealth in the rapid way that Silicon Valley is famous for, if you want the opportunity to see incredible gains, you need to be looking at a very specific type of startup company. And it's going to sound totally off the wall crazy at first. Are you ready? Here it is. I want you to get excited about businesses that don't create any physical products. That's it. That's the secret. The world's best businesses, and the businesses that are exploding in value in the new economy, typically don't create anything you can actually touch or hold. I know that might sound completely insane, but hear me out. If you look at the biggest stock market winners of the past 20 years, you see that most of them have one key attribute. They don't actually make anything. Google, Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, Microsoft, Bookings, DocuSign, Trade Desk. I call these kinds of opportunities hyperscale opportunities. A company with hyperscale potential can go from tiny to $10 billion in the blink of an eye. Instead of creating physical products, they are in the business of collecting, analyzing, presenting, and protecting information. This is a tectonic shift in how our society works, what we place high values on. We used to place high values on companies that make steel, cars, clothes, chemicals, or produce oils and copper. Yes, we still value creating that stuff. But it's not the highest value activity in our world now. The new elite is made up of people that collect, analyze, present, and protect data. These are the skills people need to learn. These are the people you need to back with your money. If you don't, you'll get left behind. Take Shopify, for example. Shopify is one of the world's most popular e-commerce platforms. It helps people set up online businesses. In 2015, Shopify had 162,000 businesses using its platform. By 2019, that number grew to more than 1 million. That's explosive growth. It went from being a $1.2 billion company to a $135 billion company, 112 times bigger during that time. Shopify massively increased in market value over a short period of time because it generated huge customer growth. Yes, a company like Shopify must spend money and time creating and developing its online platform. But once the platform was created, Shopify could add millions of new users and increase their revenues without having to spend much money. They don't have tons of employees compared to traditional old school companies. They don't have expensive retail centers, factories, or manufacturing plants. They're not weighed down by huge and unnecessary costs. So the company's profits can skyrocket. That's hyperscalability. Early Shopify investors are experiencing incredible wealth creation right now. My readers had the chance to 13x their money since 2017 if they invested in my original recommendation and held on over the years. Compare that to high-cost, slow-growth companies like FedEx or GM, and it isn't even close. Shopify is crushing them. This kind of growth never used to happen. But hyperscale companies do it all the time. Take a company called Paycom. Paycom develops software that helps companies manage their payrolls. Its offices are just around the corner, over there on Santa Clara Street. There's amazing wealth creation happening with Paycom software. Thanks to incredible demand for its services, Paycom's market value increased nearly 18-fold since 2016. Paycom doesn't make any physical products. In fact, it has very few employees compared to other traditional payroll companies. Once the software is created, Paycom can produce and sell additional copies of the software at minimal cost. So the company's profits skyrocket. Make it once and sell it over and over again. Just look at how shares of Paycom have crushed those of ordinary payroll companies. It's outpaced them by more than 10-fold over the past 5 years. Investors in Silicon Valley are obsessed with scalability, for good reason. Just look at video games. Most people over the age of 45 don't get today's video game industry. And that's a shame, because today's industry is minting millionaires left and right. Today, there are 2.7 billion active gamers worldwide who spent $151 billion in 2019. That number is expected to grow by another $105 billion by 2025. And many of today's video games aren't even physical products purchased in stores anymore. They are downloaded online. That means huge hyperscale profits for the companies creating these games. Once a video game is created, a company can produce and sell additional copies for basically nothing. So the company's profits skyrocket. For this reason, video game companies are crushing the returns of old school stocks on the Dow by 10-fold in just the past year.
Remember Chegg? That's the online textbook company I mentioned earlier. Chegg's profits have exploded over the past 3 years because it took a traditionally time and labor-intensive process of producing and selling textbooks and made it completely digital. That's why early Chegg investors are experiencing massive returns. Just how powerful are hyperscale stocks? I recently created my own index of 30 hyperscale companies and compared their returns to the overall stock market over the past 5 years. And what I found was simply jaw-dropping. If you bought this basket of hyperscale stocks, you would have crushed the stock market by more than 8-1. And these are just the already big, well-known hyperscale companies. Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, companies like that. I'm not even including the up-and-coming hyperscale companies, like the ones I want to share with you in a moment. But do you see how incredibly powerful this concept is? Do you see, if you're not investing in hyperscale startups today, you're going to get left out of the biggest opportunities in the world? But I must warn you. If there is one major drawback to hyperscale stocks, it's this. They can move very, very fast. These stocks can move so fast that if you're even a few weeks late, it could mean millions of dollars in lost profits. That's why I pride myself in getting there first. What's my secret? I'm a venture capitalist. I graduated from Caltech, which has consistently been rated as the world's #1 university. Better than Harvard, better than MIT. Caltech is on the cutting edge of virtually all technology breakthroughs. I started or funded 3 successful businesses, many in my spare time as a student, before I graduated. One was a popular social media company. Another, an equity research group aimed at linking new tech upstarts with big-name seed investors. Another was a sports data analytics business I co-founded with the former general manager of a Major League Baseball team. If you're wondering which team, I'll give you a hint. We just won the 2020 World Series. My point is, as a venture capitalist, I know about all the deals going on in the startup world. I live and breathe innovation. I know who is starting all the companies. I understand the exponential technologies reshaping our world and who is working on them. I'm no more than a phone call or two away from almost anyone in this world. One of my top contacts, for example, is an entrepreneur who just sold one of his online businesses for $60 million. His most recent project is a venture-backed startup aimed at commercializing voice AI research from Carnegie Mellon. Another of my top contacts is a guy who's been called one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time and the most successful founder in history. His incubator has started more than 150 companies. He's been involved with 300 rounds of financing of more than $3.5 billion and 45 successful IPOs and acquisitions. Look, I'm not telling you these things to brag, but rather to show you that in this business, it's not what you know, but who you know. Any VC investor worth his salt will tell you that who you know matters more than anything else. My network of contacts is one of my most valuable assets. Remember NIO, the electric car company I told you about earlier? I learned about NIO by tapping my connections at Tesla and Waymo, that's Google's driverless car division. Both companies kept bringing up one tiny company with technology they said could one day rival Tesla. Folks who got under my recommendation of NIO saw it soar 28 times higher. I learned about an incredible opportunity, a company called AMD, by leveraging my connections with researchers at Caltech. I learned AMD was set to launch a series of CPUs and GPUs that were going to be on par with Intel and NVIDIA. Folks who got in when I said to and held on over the years had the chance to see 48x gains. I'm friends with a guy who sold his digital education startup to Chegg. We used to play basketball together in open gyms at Caltech. That's how I found out about Chegg and their innovative business plan for taking college textbooks online, which led to incredible 21x gains for my readers as they had acted on it and held over the years. Now, all the information I work on is public knowledge, but by utilizing my contacts, understanding these breakthrough technologies, learning about these businesses while they're sometimes still on the drawing board, that's how I became the #1 stock picker in America. I know, that's a term that gets thrown around a lot these days, but unlike most, I've actually earned it. This ranking comes from one of the most widely recognized financial ratings companies in the world. I beat out more than 15,000 experts to claim the #1 title. That's because the opportunities I look for aren't the easy to find big name companies the so-called experts like to feed to you. Wall Street won't tell you this, but by the time the general public hears about a major investment idea, the big money has already been made by those who got there first. Getting there first is my most powerful asset, and it can be yours too. Here, I'll prove it to you.
Earlier this presentation, I told you I'd give you the name and ticker symbol of a Silicon Valley startup you should buy right away. Here it is. It's the company behind me. What's so special about this small startup? Well, what they're doing is going to radically change one of the most important industries in America. And in the process, change the lives of me, you, and just about everyone else in America in the coming years. If you've ever sold a home before, then you know that it's probably the worst process in the world. It takes forever, as long as 3 months to close a sale. Not only that, but it costs an arm and a leg to sell a home. Agent fees, staging costs, closing costs, repairs, and more often take out more than 10% of the sales price of the home. I'd venture to say that selling a home is the single most inefficient retail process in the world today. Buying and selling a home is one of the only shopping processes in the world that has yet to be digitized and, by extension, streamlined and made hyper efficient. But now all that changes. One small emerging tech company, the one right here behind me, is pioneering a breakthrough e-commerce platform across the entire US real estate market. And in so doing, will finally leapfrog the $1.6 trillion real estate industry into the digital era, and eventually turn into the Amazon of houses. The name of the company is Opendoor. Opendoor is an e-commerce platform where consumers can buy, sell, and view homes online. By streamlining, digitizing the home selling process, Opendoor, well, accelerate the home selling timeline. By leveraging big data and algorithms, Opendoor can accurately price a home in minutes, and sellers can close a home sale in as little as 3 days. Cut out costs. By eliminating profit takers in the supply chain, Opendoor reduces all-in home selling costs from over 10% to just 6%, comprised of a 5% service charge and a 1 to 3% closing costs. Reduce hassle. By simplifying and streamlining the real estate supply chain, Opendoor turns selling a home into a super easy, one-to-one process between the seller and Opendoor. The opportunity here is unmistakable. Opendoor's digital platform for buying and selling homes offers a significantly superior shopping experience to the status quo. The company already operates in 21 markets and has served over 80,000 homeowners, sold $10 billion worth of homes, and grew the number of homes sold through its platform by over 500% from 2017 to 2019. Now, if you're thinking you've missed the boat on this one, trust me, you haven't. Not even close. Because I believe Opendoor is on pace to follow the same incredible trajectory of other tech giants thanks to a powerful force called the network effect. If you've never heard of the network effect, it works like this. In 1994, Jeff Bezos developed the best and most efficient way to buy things online, Amazon.com. His service was far better than other e-commerce sites. As a result, lots of people wanted to buy things on Amazon. The more people used Amazon, the more sellers wanted to ensure their products were listed on Amazon. The more sellers wanted to be listed, the more buyers it attracted, and so on. That's the incredible power of the network effect. Each new user vastly increases the value of the business. Amazon created a virtuous, self-reinforcing cycle that exploited the network effect to the tune of creating a company worth more than $1 trillion. The network effect is the secret behind the hypergrowth we saw with Google, Facebook, and Netflix too. Going forward, Opendoor will leverage the power of the network effect as well. It already owns the world's best online home buying and selling platform. We know that because it's already selling more than 4 times the number of homes as its next biggest competitor. But it still only penetrates less than 1% of the US real estate market. The more home sellers Opendoor has, the more home buyers the platform will attract, which will bring in more home sellers, so on and so forth. The company will eventually and inevitably turn into the Amazon of the real estate market, a position which my modeling suggests will command a $100+ billion valuation one day. In fact, it already has backing from the same VCs who backed Amazon before it got big. So they see the massive potential here too. Not to mention the same folks who got behind Square, Facebook, Spotify, and Yelp. Big picture, Opendoor is a $100+ billion Amazon of houses in the making. And an early stage investment in Opendoor stock today could generate life-changing wealth over the next decade. The best part is, it's off the radar of just about everybody. A company like Opendoor with hyperscale potential can go from tiny to $10 billion in the blink of an eye. The ticker symbol is OPEN, and I think it will be a great investment in the years to come. Remember, you heard it here first. But it is far from the only hyperscale company I want to recommend right now. Like I said, I want to open my entire world of VC-style money-making opportunities to you today. Opendoor? Just the start. I tap my network of contacts and connections to create the ultimate list of technological startups ready to change the world. I went out of my way to find the tiniest hyperscale companies not being written about in the mainstream news and off the radar of Wall Street. For example, one of these is a new digital media platform insiders are calling the next big thing in video streaming. I call it the streaming service Netflix should have been. That's because this service picks up where Netflix falls short.
It's got major backing from some of the biggest entertainment and media VCs in Hollywood, including HBO, 21st Century Fox, and a venture capital group, which includes former execs from AMC, CBS, Starz, and Spotify. I tried out the service myself, and it blew me away. 12 months from now, I predict everyone you know will be using it too. The growth potential is off the charts. Buying shares right now is like buying shares of Netflix 10 years ago. You'll learn about a big data outfit many of my closest confidants here in the Valley are over the moon excited about. If you know anything about big data, you know that it's the oil of the 21st century. In this new era, companies and people become smarter and more efficient with the help of data, AI, and algorithms. This young company's capabilities are already being likened to Google. So it's no surprise it has drawn the attention of the big-time VCs who got behind Facebook, Netflix, Airbnb, and Spotify. You'll also learn about a small company with a technology that's going to revolutionize the way you use and interact with your smartphone. A company with a new breed of software that is going to radically enhance productivity and profitability at America's biggest corporations by orders of magnitude. Similar to how Microsoft Office and Excel save businesses copious amounts of time and money by allowing them to automate calculations and financial analysis. Only this new software takes things to a whole other level. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. In all, you'll learn about 7 new companies. Odds are, most Americans have never heard of any of these companies, but they all have these things in common. They are revolutionizing the way we use technology, they're hyper-scalable, and best of all, they're off the radar of just about every mainstream investor on the planet right now, so there's plenty of room for growth. But if you want to get in, you have to act soon. Remember, these hyperscale companies can move incredibly fast, which is why I'm going to email the name, ticker symbols, and full write-ups of all 7 of these startups to folks who sign up with this special offer right now. That will give you the opportunity to learn about my top 7 hyperscale businesses in just 5 minutes. Because that's how long it will take you to receive your email with the subject line, 7 hyperscale stocks to buy now. In a few years, we will be talking about these stocks the way everyone talks about Amazon, Netflix, and Shopify today. Why am I doing this? Because the rules of business and building wealth are being rewritten in front of our very eyes. Very few people understand any of this is going on. Even fewer understand how to capitalize on it. Want to hear something crazy? 50% of today's Fortune 500 companies will die in 10 years and be replaced by startups we haven't heard of yet. That means half of the companies you're doing business with today won't be around in a decade. If you want to be one of the ones who gets rich, you simply must understand the massive changes taking place right now. You've got to understand the rules of the new economy. There will be more disruption in the next 20 years than in the previous 80 years combined. If you're not making money from these moves, you're getting left behind. You're missing out while others are cashing in. Exponential progress, new technologies, hyperscalability are changing our world in profound ways, which is why I'm doing something I've never seen an insider like me do before. Today, I'm on a mission to change America. The mega winning recommendations that made me America's #1 stock picker shouldn't be just for rich people. I'm bringing my venture capital connections and investment ideas, normally reserved for Silicon Valley elite, and I'm making them available to everyday people on Main Street. It has never been easier to discover these opportunities if you know where to look. I want you to go out there and get it. I'm going to show you how. It all begins with the report I want you to put in your hands today. 7 hyperscale stocks to buy now. But before I send this report your way, there's another very big opportunity very few people know about right now. And one well-timed move right now could pay off big over the next few years. Here, follow me.
I'm sure you've heard. In the next decade, cars that drive themselves will be just as much a part of our everyday lives as smartphones are now. The key to unlocking full autonomy is to enable cars to have complete vision, or more specifically, give them a human-like ability to see and respond to their surroundings. Now, all the major players in the driverless car space, from Amazon to Waymo, agree that a laser technology called LiDAR is the answer. And it's true. LiDAR helps autonomous cars see their surroundings by bouncing a laser beam off objects in their path. It uses the difference in laser return times to create 3D representations of its surroundings. The only problem is, no one has found a way to produce LiDAR sensors cheaply enough to enable driverless cars to be produced on a mass scale. Enter the startup company behind me, headed by a 25-year-old boy genius who's already being called the next Elon Musk. Seriously. Instead of going to high school, he attended the University of California Irvine Beckman Laser Institute as a teenager, one of the top laser research centers in the world. In essence, this young company has built the industry's only viable long-range eyeballs for driverless cars. It's light years ahead of anything else on the market, which is why this new company is an exception to the rule about not buying stock in companies that actually make things. In fact, it is the only sensor in market that broadly meets all automobile manufacturer system requirements for perception tech, including long range, high resolution, weather resilience, zero interference. But the real breakthrough is how this Whiz kid has figured out how to make those sensors at just a fraction of the normal cost. It should be no surprise then that his small, virtually unheard of company is landing tons of auto industry partnerships. 7 of the top 10 passenger car original equipment manufacturers have partnered with his business, while most major programs in driverless trucking and ride-sharing services have too. Altogether, his company has 50 commercial partnerships, which represent 75% of the global passenger vehicle, trucking, and driverless taxi ecosystem. And this small company is completely off the radar of just about everyone. Well, except for a few of the Valley's most successful visionaries, including PayPal VC and Facebook's first investor, Peter Thiel, and others. Thanks to this young company, the world is finally ready to begin the transition to autonomous vehicles. The money to be made on this inevitable trend starts now. You've got all the ingredients here for massive upside. A young upstart with huge innovation, exponential progress to create better, more powerful technology more cheaply than before, early backing from some of the most successful VC investors in Silicon Valley history. This is like uncovering Intel in the 1970s as they were debuting the silicon microchip that would make personal computers ubiquitous in homes across America, before it soared over 100x. If you want to make a lot of money over the next few years, get in on this opportunity now. I don't expect shares to stay cheap for very long. The beauty part is, you don't need to risk much to make a lot of money here. I recommend you take a small amount of money and back the next Elon Musk. You'll get the full details in my new report called The Secret Startup Taking Driverless Cars Mainstream. In it, you'll learn the name, ticker symbol, and key business details of the company that's going to change the automotive industry forever. In short, you'll have every last detail you need to smartly capitalize on this historic opportunity.
How do you get access to everything here? You'll receive everything I've mentioned today when you become a member to my venture capital style research advisory called Innovation Investor. You may have tried other investment research before, but I guarantee you've never tried anything like this. Innovation Investor helps everyday people learn how to get in on the ground floor of explosive new technologies happening right now. Opportunities in artificial intelligence, 5G, blockchain, biotech, supercomputing, and every other cutting-edge breakthrough that is seeing a flood of venture capital funding. All come with the same thorough, from the ground floor perspective that you've seen today. With technological progress picking up, there's simply too many incredible opportunities to wait a decade or more to see incredible gains. They're happening right now. Just imagine if you could have put $2,000 into my recommendation of NIO. You could have turned that $2,000 into $56,000 in 12 months. What would you do with an extra 56 grand? What would that mean to you? Or imagine if you put that $2,000 into my recommendation of AMD. You could have turned that $2,000 into $96,000. $5,000 turns into $240,000. Or if you put just $5,000 in my recommendation of BLNK, you could have seen $138,000 in just over a year. That's life-changing money, folks. Today, you have the opportunity to leverage all the new technologies taking shape right now to transform your life. That's what Innovation Investor is all about. It's like having a front row seat to all the newest and best opportunities before everyone else. In many instances, you'll hear directly from the entrepreneurs with the big ideas. You'll hear from venture capitalists who are getting behind these deals. But most important, you'll learn how to capitalize right alongside them. I'll show you how to get there first, before the masses catch on. Here's how it works. Each month, you'll receive one new issue of Innovation Investor. This is my publication where I'll keep you up to date on everything going on in new disruptive technologies. I will email you a new edition of my Innovation Investor Research Advisory letter with at least one new investment idea. Sign up right now, and you'll get my brand new report to 7 hyperscale stocks to buy now and the secret startup taking driverless cars mainstream. Let me know in the next few minutes, and I'll also include as part of this package my report on the small startups on the bleeding edge of the artificial intelligence revolution. When I talk about the once-in-a-decade investment opportunity that is AI, I often get shrugs, which is absolutely insane because AI isn't just world-changing, it represents a paradigm shift in society. Sadly, most people just don't think about AI at all. I'm telling you, this may be the single most expensive mistake on the planet right now. Thanks to exponential progress, our hardware and software is becoming so powerful that computers can now analyze complex patterns, cross-reference data, and perform hyper-complex calculations at near instant speeds. The implications are incredible. And economically, they run into the trillions of dollars. AI can detect cancer faster and with better accuracy than a doctor can. It can create life-saving new drugs faster and cheaper than humans can too. It can review and find mistakes in legal contracts faster and with better accuracy than lawyers. It can streamline and lower the cost of manufacturing. And that's what most people don't get. AI isn't about robots taking over. It's about incredibly powerful software running on incredibly powerful computers. Over the next 10 years, AI will be the ultimate tool, the ultimate advantage. Billionaire Mark Cuban said that the world's first trillionaire will be the one who wins the AI race. He's absolutely right. These opportunities are on the launching pad as we speak. They have incredible potential. These opportunities are so incredible that I had to create a separate report dedicated to my 3 favorite startup firms at the forefront of the AI revolution. It's called 3 World-Changing AI Stocks to Buy Now. And it's yours when you take me up on this offer today. To recap, when you get started today, you'll get 12 monthly issues of Innovation Investor jam-packed with all the newest and best tech opportunities in the world. My report on 7 hyperscale stocks to buy now. My report on the single biggest driverless car breakthrough in the world. My report on 3 young AI companies ready to change the world. Keep in mind, these reports aren't for sale anywhere at any price. You can only get them right here. You'll also get my VC Insider's Millionaire Playbook. This is your special members-only guide. Read it right away before you read anything else. In it, you'll learn about me, my network of connections, and several key advanced strategies for uncovering the next high-growth superstar stocks of tomorrow.
You'll get access to my private website that gives you complete access to every trade recommendation, every research report, educational videos, and all my research and interviews with some of the most well-known insiders in the startup world. Remember, any one of the opportunities I recommend can move incredibly fast. That's why if urgent market or stock news breaks or it's time to collect any potential profits, I'll email you right away to explain what's happening and what it means for your innovation investor recommendations. It's everything you need to take advantage of the incredible changes taking place in the world right now.
All I want to know is, are you ready to join me? Are you ready to discover the world's next big innovations first? I want you to get all these opportunities everyone else is missing out on, especially if you weren't able to cash in on the incredible peak gains I've known so far in my career. Like Chegg before it went up 21x, Neo before it went up 28x, a company called BLNK before it soared 27x, another called Workhorse before it ballooned 11x, Square before it zoomed 12x, another called AMD before it soared nearly 50-fold. As an innovation investor member, you'll have that chance. Now, I've thought long and hard about how much to ask for access to Innovation Investor. Research of this caliber doesn't normally come cheap. If you want to join conventional Silicon Valley venture deals, you'll need a net worth of at least $1 million and make $200,000 per year. This is what many of my hedge fund and VC friends require. And even if you've got the cash, good luck, because many times you have to know someone who knows someone to even get your foot in the door. But like I said before, today I'm on a mission to change America. My goal is to make this information available to Main Street so that everybody can have access to the best ideas. You can claim everything here for $49, literally pennies per day. I know there are a lot of people out there who find it nearly impossible to spend anything on information. They think it's all free online. For those folks, I have a message. If you don't think Innovation Investor provides the absolute best information on early stage startups, if you don't see the opportunity to get there first by reading the information I provide in Innovation Investor, then I don't want you to have to pay for it at all.
Which is why, when you join right now, I'll give you the best guarantee I can think of for complete peace of mind. Test drive Innovation Investor for 12 months, risk-free. That's right, 1 full year, risk-free. Access all of my monthly issues, hand-picked recommendations, reports, and videos, as well as my private website. And if for any reason over the next 365 days you feel we're not a good fit, just call me and I'll promptly refund every penny of your subscription. Plus, you can keep every special report and all my research, my way of saying thanks for giving it a try. Where else in the world can you try something for a full year and get a refund if you don't like it? That's how confident I am in my work. Now, of course, all investments do carry risk. Past performance does not indicate future returns, and I would never recommend investing any amount of money you aren't willing to lose. That being said, I believe that if you're not cashing in on the tech boom, you're missing out on the biggest money-making opportunity in generations. You're going to get left behind. You could easily be taking advantage of this exponential progress and the massive winners it is creating. I couldn't make it any easier for you to get started. I'm providing the educational resources. I'm providing the hand-picked world-class recommendations. Join Innovation Investor today. 1,700 new millionaires are minted in America every day. Why not be one of the next ones? Get in on the boom. The way I see it, you have 3 choices before you right now. Option 1. You can forget you ever watched this presentation and continue to watch everyday folks learn and understand the incredible changes happening right now and get rich ahead of you. Option 2. You can join a Silicon Valley venture capital fund if you have all that cash and meet the strict requirements. Option 3.
you can click the Join Now button below and become an Innovation Investor Charter member today. Learn about these opportunities before anyone else and get immediately tapped in. Since you're still here with me, I think you're the kind of person I'm looking for. But you've got to act now. Not tomorrow, not even later tonight, right now. Innovative businesses are going 10x faster than ever before. Even the slightest hesitation could mean missing out on life-changing profits. I see people balk at blockbuster early-stage deals all the time and live to regret it. Please don't let that happen to you. I'm confident the next Amazon, the next Microsoft, the next Tesla are in the research package I want to send your way, but you've got to act now. To help you make the right decision, I'm going to include one more valuable gift when you get started right now. Go ahead and check out the full details on the next page. I promise you're going to go crazy for it, and it could help you make a lot of money in the years to come. To get started and to receive access to everything I've detailed here in a matter of minutes, simply click on the Join Now button at the bottom of the screen. This will take you to a secure order form where you can review everything before submitting your order. Thank you for your time. I hope you take advantage of this opportunity. I truly believe it's going to change the lives of forward-thinking Americans over the next few years. I hope you are one of them. Thank you for watching today. I'm Luke Lango.